Oh, geez, I'm sorry. All right, this normally is a lot less stressful for me because I'm usually in my home office doing this, but I'm offsite right now because I'm working on a project. So have taken over somebody else's office with my laptop. Okay,
Okay.
let's get going here. Thank you everybody for joining us. I apologize for the late start. We've had some technical difficulties because we wanted to make sure that we have the session recorded so folks can reference it when you visit our critique corner on our Arizona SCBWI regional webpage. In case you guys don't know who we all are, my name is Tanya Bauerlier. I am the co-regional advisor for the SCBWI here in Arizona. My assistant regional advisor, Karen Chow, is also here. As is Diane White. Diane White is one of our PAL coordinators, and Michael Hale, who is our illustrator coordinator. So you have the majority of the regional team and one of our planning committee folks in here as well. And one of the things that I know has been a big question for everybody is how can we get together with people to form critique groups, so we've been really trying to figure out what we can do as a region to help facilitate that, which is why we came up with this webinar, as well as our critique corner that we are announcing and revealing today on this webinar. Um, the key is critique groups. How do you form a critique group? What does it mean to be in a critique group? How do you find people? I mean, how do you sustain a long-term critique group relationship? So these are the questions that Diane, Michael, Karen, and I are going to be talking about a little bit. Karen has some questions that she's going to field that we're going to answer. Then later on, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the new Critique Corner page and the opt-in groups that we have created that are genre specific, which are going to enable you to connect with people specific in the genre that you are trying to find critique partners in. Um, and then at the very end, we're going to open up for Q&A for questions and answers. This session is being recorded so that we can add this recording to that web page. So if people have any questions or are curious about what it means to be in a critique group, then they can reference this video. So I'm going to hand it back over to Karen so she can start fielding those questions.
Okay, so we have Tanya, Diane, and Michael and on the panel, and I will be asking some questions. First, logistics. So can you just tell me briefly how many members are in your current critique group? Start with Tanya.
Okay. Um, the one group that I'm in currently, in person slash sometimes Zoom, has 4 people in it. We've been together, I want to say 11 years, because we're very committed and we respect and support each other. I also have a couple of individual creators that I critique with on a monthly basis. And we do that Zoom. Those individuals are out of state. And that's that. Yeah, I've been in lots of different ones over the years, but those have been the ones that are very sustaining for me.
Okay, Diane.
I'm also in a group of 4 people in person, and I have over the years been in a variety of groups. I have a good friend who lives in Colorado. We used to meet in person when we both lived in California. Now we meet like kind of every other week, and or as needed. And we both meet on Zoom and we just email manuscripts back and forth. I have another author who I critique with. Also, we meet on Zoom. And another set of 2 authors that we also we don't do Zoom, we just email.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the thread is there are a lot of ways to be a critique group, and you have to find out, what works for you.
Great. Michael?
Main critique group, 4 people, been together for a very long time. We meet on a regular basis of once a month. I also belong to another informal group with just illustrators. We've been sending work back and forth on a regular basis for the last 8 years. Also, another informal group with illustrators that meets once a month. It has many people in it. Depending on how often they come and how they go, it's more or less who's got things that they want to see and or share. It's important. So it's more of an informal group. It's not. It is a critique format, but it's not really, like I said, a formal critique group.
Great. It sounds like everybody's in more than one or has partnerships. I'm in one that's 4 people, including myself and including me. And we all write in my group, we all write middle grade or upper middle grade or young adult, so we're all novelists. What about your groups? Do you write the same things? Do you illustrate the same things? Like Michael's just said, he has an illustrator specific group. What about your groups?
As far as on mine, like I said, the main group focuses a lot on picture books, but we have brought in other genres as well, as far as middle grade, and also looked at other people's projects. So, I mean, if it depends. I mean, the nice thing is, I mean, it started out as primarily picture books. And in fact, I took over someone else's spot who was not working picture books, and was maybe less of a fit for the group. But I think that over time, because we've been together for so long, it's nice that when people are working in other genres, we have enough trust in each other and experience that, we can share other work. I don't know if that would work with a lot of other groups. I think I would recommend that if people were just going to getting started, that they should stay in one genre and work that way. It tends to keep things going, and just make sure that everybody's kind of, for lack of pun, on the same page.
That's a great segue into what did you look for when you first joined your critique group? Do you want to try that, Diane? Answer.
I think the way often critique groups form is when you're first starting is you just maybe you meet somewhere, you meet at a conference, you meet at a workshop, you're writing in the same genre. And I think it's a good idea to sort of do a trial run, maybe set a number for how many times your group is going to meet. Let's try it for, let's say you're going to meet every other week or something. Let's try it for, 2 months or something like that. You want to do it long enough so that you have a sense of whether the group is a fit, but not so long that if it's not a fit, you've committed yourself and it's uncomfortable to leave the group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanya?
When I was looking literally just more specifically at the time, picture book and illustration support, and being able to work with other creators in those fields to help push my work, and so that with the hope that I would be able to offer some guidance to my critique partners as well. So it's really interesting because the one thing that I have learned over the years of being in critique groups is you really need to mesh with the individuals, not just the work. Yes, you need to be able to work in the same space so that you are able to confidently offer advice as much as receive it. But you need to also, it's really hard to share what we have worked on for so long. You're sharing part of yourself. So it's really important that you have people in your group that you trust, that are of the like mind when it comes to the process. You do not want to go into a critique group saying, well, I just need this looked at. And then, yeah, I don't care about your work, just look at mine. It is 100% a give and take, you know, and that's, I think, one of the reasons that our group has stayed together as long as it has, is because we respect the craft, we respect each other, and it's one of those things where we want for each other. We want everybody to succeed. It's not just a one-sided road. But I think that was a surprise to me with how close we have gotten. You know, we support each other through all these different things, but it's, I think, a really huge part of why critique groups are that important, and why it's not that easy to find the right match, because sometimes maybe you need to go through a couple of different groups before you are able to figure out the best fit.
Yeah.
And just having one person is enough, really. I'm kind of curious if anybody is already, you know, besides the four of us are, and I assume Kathy, you probably have a critique group, but anyone else is already in a critique group, and James, no, and then some of the other, Virginia, Tamara, Carol, if you could just put it in the chat, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to answer, you know.
Yeah, the same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you all. What things do you like about your current critique groups? You want to start, Michael?
I really like the consistency of it. And I like the fact that we all have a commitment to doing what we want to do. And that's really important, because so many critique groups I've had that have come together, and the ones that have always fallen apart have been the ones where people had a hard time committing to the group and saying,
Mm.
oh, I can't be there, or this has come up, or this is now a priority. And the issue is really just people are at different levels in their writing careers. And you can start off with a very successful critique group if you all make sure that you're on the same level of commitment. Because, you know, there are people that do this as hobby. There are people who don't know what they're starting off with and, you know, need to do that. So to me, that level of commitment is really what's the most important, because just about any of the other groups I've ever been in, and I mean, I have been in dozens over the years that fell apart, and they're perfectly good people, and they're people I respect and would love to get their feedback anytime I can. But it's really hard for people to make those kind of commitments, and you have to be committed to the group.
Yeah, that's a good point. Diane?
Yeah, someone, maybe it was Michael, alluded to the fact that you kind of want to find people that are at the same stage of, you know, the process of, you know, if you're just beginning, then you probably will feel most comfortable with other people who are kind of like you, like soaking everything up and sharing opportunities. If you've been writing for a while, maybe been a member of SCBWI for several years, done some workshops, and are a little bit further, you know, along, you are not really going to get as much potentially from someone who's just starting out. So that's another kind of important piece, is making sure that you find someone who's kind of at the same stage. And I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, the groups that I have and am currently a part of, we're all kind of, we're all committed. We, you know, we're serious. We're not, you know, we are able to handle any kind of feedback we get. We're not looking for someone to just encourage us, although who doesn't like encouragement? But you know, we want some honest feedback, and so that we can get better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was in a group and they were great. But the the feel and the goals of the group were very, you know, all the way over there, and there was no urgency to get published or, you know, try to find an agent. And then when I switched to the one that I'm in now, one of them already had an agent and a book deal, and then one of them was seeking an agent. And at that point, I didn't have an agent, and I was like, I think this one works because it's elevating me to the place that I want to go. Tanya, do you want to talk about some red flags to watch for?
I think one of the big things that people need to watch out for is to make sure that you connect with people that have the same expectations that you do. It kind of goes back to what we talk about during our critique nicks. You know, a critique group is supposed to be a supportive environment that is going to help push you to that next level of your craft. A red flag would be somebody that is not interested in receiving feedback other than, oh, this is great. You know, no matter how often, how many books you have out, whatever new manuscript that you're working on, it's a process. There's always push and, you know, to get it to that next level. I would be weary of people that aren't willing to take criticism. Also, I would be, if somebody only ever shows up wanting feedback and then doesn't show up to support the other people, I think that's a big red flag. I want to echo what Michael had said, because with our group, we meet every single month. And we've had situations come up where, you know, something came up that morning. But what we'll pivot, we'll go instead of meeting in person, let's switch over to Zoom. Because, you know, and we still, but we have, even through COVID, we still met every month. So that's important. You want people that are committed as much as you are. And if you have people in your group that are not interested in being a 50-50 partner, then that's definitely a red flag. I think one of the things you definitely want to be aware of when you first meet people and you form a group is have you know, talk about what are your expectations. You know, what do you expect? I mean, do you want me to just tell you your work is great and beautiful, or are you committed to getting your you know, raising that level of craft to that next point? That's what I'm so thankful about with my group, is because they are so incredibly supportive, but they will not hesitate to tell me, no, this doesn't work. You need to look at it this way, you know. And we're at a point where, I mean, you don't take it personal, because everybody has the best intentions to help you get to that next level. So
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Diane or Michael, do you want to talk about red flags to watch for?
You know, I was just thinking as Tanya was talking, like some people, like in the beginning, you know, you may not really know what you want. You may really just want to hear what's working. And so, you know, in a lot of groups, they start with, you know, these are my questions. So you kind of preset the kind of feedback that you're looking for, because especially if you're newer, it can be devastating if you get the kind of feedback you were not expecting. I think all of us, you know, we hope that we'll get some good, oh, this is awesome. But even while wanting the truth, but, you know, like secretly, maybe we hope that we'll get the, you know, this is great. So, you know, like when you're starting, maybe you don't exactly know what kind of feedback you want, but just generally, it's stuff you learn as you go along. And I think by setting let's try this group out for X number of, you know, 2 months or whatever, gives you an out if you decide. You do want to give people a little bit of an opportunity to, you know, gel a little bit, but you don't want to get stuck in a group, and be patient, because not every group would not be unusual to decide, you know, for people to take several times to find a group that works for them. Yeah.
Michael?
Well, I think one red flag would be if you didn't feel comfortable with the person for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they may be an absolute wealth of information, but if you find them grating or, you know, for whatever reason, you know, you want to be able to gel as a group. And, you know, I you know, can honestly say that, you know, I know the people that I exchange work with so well, and I've known them for years. And the thing is, you know, most of the people that I have formed positive critique groups with have been people that I knew for years before we even started the critique group. So you could, you know, say, hey, I really like these people. I really like everything else. The other red flag that I would say that is really important if you're starting a critique group, and this goes again at different levels, is you don't want to be the smartest person in the room at all. I mean, you want to learn from these people. I mean, you know, you don't want to constantly just be delving out advice and everything else. I mean, which is so nice because I think, you know, as far as like, even when I look at like the critique groups I'm in, I'm looking around and saying, wow, I'm the weak link here. And I'm really happy about that because, you know, I'm the one who has the least amount of knowledge and I can gain so much from these other people. So like I said, I think those would be the important things. And especially too, you know, depending on where you're meeting and everything else, you know, a big red flag is making sure that someone has the time. Because even if you're having trouble setting up meetings in the first part and people can't make time for your group, then you'd have to be able to say, okay, well, you know, this thing could potentially fall apart.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about what is required of you when you're in your critique group. So for me, we meet in person every couple weeks. I'm required to critique 3 people's work before we meet, and then we meet in person and we talk about all of the comments that we all have on that person's work. So there's 4 of us. I have to critique 3 people's work every 2 weeks.
Let me ask you this, yours being novel focused,
Yeah.
does that mean you email each other a chapter at a time? How do you
We,
address that aspect of it? Because you obviously
we
can't do the entire novel.
Yeah, we have a limit of 20 pages, and it has to be emailed the day before at a minimum. Um, uh, Most of the time we just submit a chapter each, which ends up being around 10. If somebody's on deadline, we'll increase it for them. You know, if they absolutely need to send like 30 pages all at once or a huge chunk, but most of the times it's 1 or 2 chapters at a time. And yeah. What about you, Tanya?
Um, when we come to our meetings with whatever element that we would like to have critiqued, my group is composed of picture book writers and picture book author illustrators.
Okay.
Which I actually would encourage if you are in a picture book group, do invite author illustrators because it gives you a really good perspective from an illustration side of things when it comes to your writing. You know, that has been very helpful. Um, so what we do is we come prepared with what we would like to have feedback on, and then we spend, sometimes our meetings are an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. So it can take, you know, probably at least 2 hours, but I know that we've had times where we go a little bit longer even, and it really depends on what we're bringing and what we need to talk about. And the one thing that I really like also about our group is we also work on goal setting. What's our goal for the year? What are we trying to achieve? Are we meeting those goals? And so it's an all-round supportive group. So it's been really amazing. If we have one of our members go to a conference or sign up for a critique, we might critique query letters, or we might, you know, we might email each other, hey, I need this kind of quickly. Can you email it and look? And so we sometimes will do that. So it really depends on what the needs of each individual is. And what they need, because sometimes it's illustrations to be reviewed, sometimes it's manuscript, sometimes it's could be all sorts of different aspects. So kind of it depends, but we basically are committed to that time and to that feedback to our partners so that we can help uplift them the way they are uplifting us.
Diane, what's required of you?
Our group is primarily, I would say, picture books. And so that's why we just bring what we have. Sometimes it's just like, I'm thinking of this idea and I have this much written. What do you think? And then maybe hash out without actually, even a full manuscript, what might any suggestions, or yeah, that sounds awesome, we love what you've written so far, keep going, and we look forward to seeing it the next time or whatever. So yeah, it's a little bit of coaching, counseling, rehashing disappointing news, or it's just like the whole. But again, we've been together for a long time, so and people can just bring what they have, because nobody's work is more than 3 pages generally. So yeah.
Michael, what's required of you in your group?
All of the same, really. But the other thing is required is also, because we do, as Tanya had said before, we know each other's goals. We know what everyone is working towards. So oftentimes, if someone is like going on a different direction, we may have to come in and say, hey, well, what about that goal? What about what you were working on? And those type of things, and say, is that still part of the case, or has that changed? And if it has changed, then, usually that person has to say, well, I was working on that, but now I found that my priorities have changed and I want to work on that. And, it's somewhat, it's keeping others accountable as well to what they've been working on, and trying to make sure that they're kind of keeping track on the same thing. And others too, I think, really the other thing that's really kind of an unspoken commitment, and Tanya had said that too, that, if you have new information or other things that you can bring to the group, especially if people are going to seminars, or if they're going to conferences, if they're going to anywhere else, or they've just heard new information, it's like saying, hey, let's bring this in. And it, does become, it just benefits the entire group, the more information that we can give each other.
Okay, so we have a couple minutes before we're gonna talk about the critique corner. Can you just talk about one thing that you have learned from being in a critique group? We'll start with Tanya.
First, I want to say, if we need to go longer, we can, because we actually started 15 minutes late. But oh my goodness, the one thing that I've learned is that
just one of many.
I don't know what I would do without my critique group. I mean that sincerely, because they have pushed my craft to a level that in the time that we've been together, that I don't think I would be where I am had it not been for my group. Plus, the fact that your critique group becomes kind of like therapy too, because doing what we do isn't easy. It's all about rejection. It's all about trying to find the right fit for your work, and getting no's, and, getting the keep going and all that. And no matter how much you love your family, they don't go through this, they don't understand the nuances of what it takes to create for Kidlit. And so having a group that 100% understands and supports you on this journey is, I don't know how people cannot have a critique group, because even if you are the perfect writer who never needs edits, having that community aspect is priceless.
Diane?
Okay, I've always had critique groups, and I've been writing for a long time, and I count on them to, you read your own words and you miss, you miss things.
Mhm.
You understand it because the whole story is in your head, and things are not coming across. People are confused or whatever. So I am not one of those people who could live without a critique group. I really, really depend on my critique group to both, encourage me to keep going, but also to provide the kind of feedback that helps me be a stronger writer, lets me know when something's not landing, when something is missing, when something goes on too long, all the things. And yeah, and I should have mentioned this before, but even, like my husband reads a lot of my stories. He's not a writer. He doesn't know anything about kids' books. um, but he reads, and he can at the very least like be a first reader for me and just say,
Mhm.
uh, I don't, this word, this doesn't sound right, or I'm confused about something. And so even though he's not, trained in writing children's books or whatever, sometimes just even a family member, maybe not every family member, but someone who's not a writer, if they're readers, they can give you some feedback, like, and that can also be another option.
That's great. Michael, something that you've learned?
Well, unlike Diane, my wife is a reader too, but she is the perfect reluctant reader. Every single time she reads my manuscripts, they always start out with, so it works out well because I get a good reluctant read, so I can tell if I'm doing there. No, I can honestly say that as far as critique groups is concerned, that any success I have had in this business is due to my critique group. If I look at any book that I have ever done, and I just finished my 16th book, and my critique group has been with me like the entire way, is knowing that there are pieces of them in every single one of those books, and that they would not be what they are if it hadn't been for the relationship I have with those people. And that, when you find a good group, you want to commit to it because you are extremely grateful for the things that they bring and the ways that they have helped you. It is so important, because the biggest takeaway that I can say is we can't do it alone. You can be the best writer in the world, but there are always things that you're never going to see, things that you're not going to catch, or things that cannot be improved with another serious person who knows craft and is studying it the way that you do.
Yeah, 100%. All of those things. Yeah, I think I feel also like the weakest writer in my group, and I've learned so many things from the people who, like, one of my members has been through an MFA program, and she knows like plot, and she knows how to structure things, and she's always asking me, what's the point of this chapter? What's the point of this chapter? And those are the types of
And you get that in your head.
yes,
And
craft specific things that that I didn't think about before, and I know now because of my critique group. Um, this was great. I'm glad that everyone was able to share. I think we need to go into the critique corner webpage. So Tanya is going to be talking about that, and I will pull it up on the
Okay.
share.
Awesome. It is live now. So if you guys go to our Arizona regional page, you should be able to access it. It's a tile that you can click on, and then you will be able to get to the page that that Karen is going to show us. This is our first stab at trying to connect people. Our first suggestion always is, when you go to one of the in-person events that we have, or if you go to a conference or another type of writing event, connect with people, ask questions, get to know the people that you are meeting, because that is such a huge gauge of critique life, right? You need to be able to connect with these people. But to get you at least started down the journey, what we are doing is we're utilizing the SCBWI HQ opt-in groups. which if you can scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will notice that there's a lot of information on this page about what it takes to find a critique group, what are the rules of engagements, all these types of scenarios. And then there are things that that we want you to be aware of when you join in on these groups, because we have 5 different ones set up. We have picture books, middle grade, YA, young adult, illustrator specific, and then also translators. That is a big growing aspect of the industry. So I know we don't have that many here in Arizona right now, but that is definitely an area that is going to be able to grow down the line. But what these groups are, these are going to be very specific email groups that you can join, that are, for instance, translator specific or picture book specific. What we're going to do is periodically, probably about once or twice a month, Karen is going to email everybody on that group and share the content of, these are the people that have joined, these are the people on the group, and we're going to share those with you. And if you've listened to even just a smidgen of what we were talking about, it is a lot of legwork on your part to find these people and connect with them. But at least this way, you are going to have Arizona specific creators in your genre that you can connect with. And then it's up to you to email those people saying, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an in-person group specific to picture books that meets in person somewhere around the area of Gilbert, Arizona, Flagstaff,
We're on Zoom.
Tucson, or on Zoom, because that is a huge part that people might not think about. Is I have two critique partners that I meet with individually every month. That one is in San Francisco and one is in Chicago, and I don't know what I would do without them. And we meet soon because geographically it's not a viable option. But if you look at this page, this is going to be your very first way to be able to connect with people. We're going to see how this works, and if we need to make adjustments to it as this develops, then we will do that. But I think this is the closest thing that we can get to having everybody in a room and getting you guys to chat with each other, because it's such an important aspect of what it takes to form a critique group.
I posted the link in the chat.
Okay. And we will also send a broadcast email, a membership constant contact blast to everybody announcing that this page is live and people are able to utilize it. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's live now. Hey, Karen, why don't you do this? Go down to the opt-in group, like for instance, middle grade, and just join middle grade.
Okay. Join.
Right, so notice what it'll do.
You have subscribed.
So now she's on that email list, and then we are able to access that email list and send communication specific to that group. If you want to unsubscribe, all you have to do is go back to the page and hit the unsubscribe button, and then you will be removed from that list.
Very simple.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and it's our first stab. We'll see what we can develop this into, turn it into. Hopefully we can grow it, add different types of opt-in groups. If somebody has any recommendations of additional types of topics that they would like us to add, like maybe a nonfiction one or something, let us know. We're more than happy to accommodate that. Karen, what other things should we go through? What do you think?
I wonder if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I'm just going to go into
before we go to Q&A, I thought, yeah, because we are definitely going to.
I mean, just know that your email is going to be shared with everybody on the same list publicly in that list. We're not going to release it to anybody else. And I think that's it. Does anyone have questions?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions.
I've got a couple questions.
Sure.
The groups that I'm in right now, one group is we've been together for a couple of years. We started out in a coaching group together. We all have the same, we're all at there's 4 of us. 3 have self-published their books and actually done at least a couple events with their books, gone to some events where they presented their books.
Okay.
And they're on their second books that are being illustrated, and should be a couple, let's see, I would say 3 of them, they should be out on the market, I'd say in another 6 months. And we all write about something about nature focused.
Okay.
So, and the stories that I've written are I'm sorry, manuscripts are nature focused, Southwest. One of my critique partners is in Canada, and her books are about raising baby goats. And
Okay.
and
Do
my
you have a
other,
question, Virginia?
yeah, my question is, so um, for this group, this is just Arizona, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then uh, do you have like a questionnaire or when I'm on the page now where the middle grade critique group email list. In that group, then do you I mean, I don't quite understand how you decide, okay, that these other people are people that will work for
That's
me
the whole,
in another group.
that's going to be something that you need to take on your aspect, on your side of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Because the one common thread that you're going to have in these groups is the genre that they're specific to, like picture books or middle grade, right? So we'll give you the information to be able to connect with these people, but then it's about a matter of you specifically saying, hey, you know, this is what I'm looking for. Because
oh, okay.
here's the thing, us saying here, these people are supposed to get together for a critique group is not going to work,
No.
because you need to make that determination yourself. You need to be able to connect with people and get to know them. And the first way to do that is, hey, let's maybe meet via Zoom, you know, to do something like that. But it is going to be something that you need. It's going to take some time for you to develop and to find those people. Because it's not a matter of us just saying, hey, meet with these people, because there are so many different aspects. You know, everybody on that group might have a different requirement of what they're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay, I see.
It's
Okay.
kind of like, it's going to be kind of like dating. You're going to email these people and say, hey, do you want to meet? Do you want to trade some pages and see
Yeah.
whether you
Mm.
you connect with them? And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then, you know, you say, I'm sorry, this isn't working for me, and we need to part ways.
I mean, you could even, before you even trade pages, is maybe just have a get to know your call. You know,
Yeah.
what we're going to do is once we start getting some people's names in groups, we're going to send an email out and we're going to give you some ideas. And maybe, Karen, that's one of the things we can add to it. You know, here are some of the first steps that maybe that you want to take with this list of people that you can potentially connect with.
Sure.
Because here's the thing is that it's not it. That's why critique groups are a little bit more challenging to bring about, is because they really are so personal. I mean, if you've listened to, you know, what Diane and Michael and Karen and I have been sharing, is sometimes it's trial and error. I've been in groups that didn't work
Me
because, you
too.
know, it just
Me
didn't
too.
mesh. So, you know, and there's no way somebody could just say, hey, here's a group, join this group. You know, you need to kind of do the figuring on your end.
We don't really know at this point how many people will
Right.
sign up.
Right.
So that's another thing. You know, if 3 people sign up, you would be the 4th person. Well, you might as well just reach out to all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And do a, you know, a Zoom call or something just to see whether you want to give it a go. And, you know, it might just be one person, it might be 2 people, and, you know, so it's all new, basically.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
testing.
it's a first step.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the opt-in groups and see what we have going.
Any other?
Any other questions?
Yeah, so if you make contact with some people from this list and you form a group, then do you remove yourself from the list so other people don't contact you?
Yeah, if you're happy with the group that you have made, then just unsubscribe and then
Okay.
you won't get any more emails. And if you still want more critique partners, I mean, like Diane said, she's part of like she's part of one big one, but then a couple of others, and same with Tanya and same with Michael. If you want to be part of more than one, then you can stay on the page and keep looking.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Any more experiences you want to share? Anybody? Anybody want to say anything else? The best way to meet people obviously is in person. And I'm sure you all know this already, but I'll say it again. We have our first conference that we are planning since 2019. It's going to be an in-person conference it's going to be Saturday, November 14th, 2026. So it's about a year from now. But we have our venue figured out. We are currently in the process of figuring out the schedule for the day, and then the next step is recruiting faculty. I can't tell you how excited we all are as part of the regional team to be able to finally have an in-person conference again. I know that was always a highlight of the year for those of you that have been around for a while. So our goal is to bring that back on an annual basis and hopefully have it grow. But that is going to be happening, and I encourage you. I'm sure you will find groups before then, but that is definitely going to be a way of connecting with people as well when we do have that conference. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions. If something comes up after this, don't hesitate to email us with any questions that you might have or requests. If there's a different category you would like for us to add, definitely add that as well. We can do that. There's no limit on how many types of groups we can set up.
And I
Thanks,
think that's
Susan.
it. Tanya?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much, Diane and Michael and Karen and everybody that came to our group. I'm so sorry that it was a delayed beginning, but so hey, if you guys have any type of Zoom stuff coming up, update your Zoom, because clearly they have changing things on a constant basis, which makes things disappear from your interface. So thank you so much for your time today, and I'm excited what's happening with the region and where we're going with it and the different programming that we're bringing to you. We've got a bunch in the hopper right now for next year, but thank you so much, everybody. Have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm staying
good.
on.
Okay, cool.
You want me to pause?
Yeah, you can stop recording.
Okay, stop.
Awesome.